don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman, because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Well, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, and good evening. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're not still stuck in traffic along I-69, just south of the Anderson exit. I was talking to our longtime no-see co-host, Brandon Rudd, and earlier he was talking to me. We were talking. He's like, oh, no, there's some kind of traffic accident, and I'm stuck here in traffic. And then 2 hours later, we got off the phone at some point. He's like, I got to figure out what's going on here. We got off the phone, and 2 hours later, he messaged me back, and he's like, I'm still stuck in traffic. And I'm like, what in the hell? But I guess it wasn't a traffic accident. Reports are coming in that there was apparently a police action shooting on I-69, and it was apparently one of our friends from the Madison County Sheriff's Department. Obviously, something went wrong. I don't really know what was happening there. I don't think that there's much information other than it was just a shooting from a Madison County Sheriff's deputy on I-69. That's about all I know as of right now. We are monitoring this. It says, okay, now it says update. And this was an update. I mean, it's still not much information. Man shot by a deputy on Interstate 69 has died. So it's now a homicide that the police will investigate. That's something a lot of people don't really understand. They're like, what? Homicide? Anytime a human life is taken by another individual, it is a homicide. That's just the taking of a human life. There's justifiable homicide and not justifiable homicide, which can be murder or manslaughter, various things. So we'll have to wait to see what goes on with the investigation there. State police was at the scene. Says a man who was shot by police on Interstate 69 Wednesday afternoon has died. Officers from the Interstate I-69 near State Road 38 around 4:30 p.m. Wednesday after receiving calls about a man walking along the interstate. Indiana State Police Sergeant Scott Keegan said after the officers approached the man in an effort to ensure his safety, the man's actions led to the officers to draw their guns. During the encounter, a Pendleton police officer fired one shot, striking the suspect. Okay, so it was not. This is an official update. It was not a Madison County Sheriff's deputy. So it was actually a Pendleton Town police officer striking this individual and killing the individual. The man was taken to IU Health, Saxony Hospital in Fishers, where he did later die as a result of his injuries. Keegan said the specifics of the man's actions remain under investigation. A knife was recovered from the scene. There is no threat to those in the area, police said. The officer has been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of the investigation. Shortly after the crash, I don't know what that is. I don't know. That seems like it's maybe just something from a copy and paste. Maybe shortly after the shooting, shortly after the incident. I don't know if that's a screw up on their part. Shortly after the incident, police closed southbound I-69 at exit 222, diverting traffic onto State Road 9, State Road 67, North Pendleton. Northbound traffic has not been significantly impacted by the closure. Keegan said that shortly after 7 p.m., the interstate would be closed for about 2 hours. Wow! Oh! So it was still closed as of 7 p.m. And maybe even later, maybe still closed. That would be closed for approximately 2 hours while detectives continued their investigation. Anyone with information about the shooting or who may have witnessed the incident is encouraged to contact the Indiana State Police. Man, I'm certainly glad that the Indiana State representatives had not been able to shoehorn some crazy ass bill like, I don't know, 1186 in to get it passed last year so that a law would have went into place that would have not allowed an officer from Pendleton to leave their area in Pendleton and drive to the interstate. That would have been bad if there would have been only one officer involved with this. And seeing how it was the Pendleton officer that shot, it's very interesting on where things might have been had he not been there. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on. Hey, welcome to the program. This is going to be a big program, ladies and gentlemen. We have been waiting for the follow-up to this program for literally 9 months and 12 days. This has been a program that has been traveling the last 9 months and 12 days to get right here to this spot. And we're going to have a big program, and I'm going to ask you all to please, if you have not hit that like button, you've done all the YouTube social media type of things that you're supposed to do, like the show. If you are new, please consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. Once you subscribe, click the bell, do all of that. If you're here live being Wednesday evening, January 29th, it's just about 9:12 p.m., if you're here live, we would ask you to please communicate with us over here on the right-hand side of the screen. We are interested in what you have to say, whether you agree or disagree with our takes or anything else that we're going to be talking about tonight. We would love to hear from you. If you're watching in the future via replay, please comment down below here. We will get back to you as well. And above all else, no matter what time, when, and where you are watching this, we ask that you please share the show with everyone that you know. So we're going to get into a pretty important topic, something that we've been watching now for a long time. This is actually a follow-up to an episode that we did all the way back on Thursday, April 18th, 2024. That episode was episode 1. 182. Can you believe that? 182. This is episode 379. And that was episode 182. I can't believe we've done that many shows in this time period, but Mary Nicholson's already disagreeing. I'd say. Listen, and we're going to have this is going to be a very strange walk we're going to take here, because I think that a lot of you are probably going to disagree with what I have to say about here. We'll have to see. Alice says walking on the interstate, Indiana, will get you shot. No. I think walking on the interstate with a knife, and that's not in and of itself bad, but if you take that knife out and start doing crazy things with it, that could lead to you getting shot. We don't know. Officers specifically in this area get called to the interstate quite frequently for people walking. Obviously, Indiana code does not specifically allow pedestrians on the interstate, so it's not something that you see. It's not like there's not like a sidewalk that gets you out there. There's no homes along that interstate stretch. So if someone is walking in that area, something is probably wrong, or something has happened, or they're looking for help or trying to get gas. Something like a vehicle's broken down, a car's ran out of gas, maybe an accident has occurred or something. And so oftentimes there will be calls for service to make sure that people are okay out on the interstate. And officers will go out there and make contact and, take people to the gas station or take them to the next exit or whatever. That happens all the time. And there are instances where there's someone who's going through an instance or an issue, and it kind of devolves. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens. So we'll see what goes on with that. So in kind of keeping with what we were talking about there, we're going to be very police oriented tonight. I do want to say before we get into the meat of the show, there is movement with this horrible, dreaded House Bill 1186. So tonight, for those of you that are here, we're going to be talking about the pursuit that started in Henry County with a rookie officer back 9 months ago on the 18th of April, 2024. And that pursuit continued northbound on State Road 3. It left Henry County. It entered into Delaware County. It then entered into Muncie city limits. And after traveling approximately 15 miles, the pursuit came to an end after the fleeing vehicle, a silver Dodge Dart, hit another vehicle, a bystander, and injured that bystander severely, serious injuries there. Injured the driver, the quote unquote bad guy, the driver, injured that person, and it injured the driver's passenger so severely that the injuries resulted in death. And so the driver of the vehicle, Zachary Antrim, was taken to the hospital and treated. Shortly afterwards, he because he, like it always goes, not always, but a lot, the driver isn't the one that's killed. He was not injured that bad, hardly at all, compared to the other injuries. He was then arrested and taken to the Delaware County Jail. He was booked into the jail on preliminary charges, and he has officially been charged. He was charged in April with 8 counts. He was charged with 6 felonies, and then he was charged with 2 misdemeanors. And those charges for Zachary Antrim include count 1, resisting law enforcement, a level 3 felony. Count 2, resisting law enforcement, a level 5 felony. Count 3, criminal recklessness, a level 3 felony. Unlawful carrying of a handgun, a class A misdemeanor. Resisting law enforcement, a level 6 felony. Count 5. Count 6 is criminal recklessness, a level 6 felony. And then counts 7 and 8 are reckless driving, both class A misdemeanors. And so he was charged back in April, and he is currently still in jail awaiting trial. Now, most people would say, well, okay, case closed. It's over and done. I will tell you, if you're watching this program and you have not listened to episode 182, you will want to go back. You can still continue watching this program, but if you've not listened to our first program the night that it happened, you will want to go back and listen to episode 182. It's on the YouTube channel. You'll be able to find it. It's very, very easy to find. Go back and watch that. I discuss the event, but besides just simply discussing the event and giving you my commentary, we go through the complete dispatch traffic. We listen to dispatch traffic belonging to the Henry County Sheriff's Department, both ways, both incoming and outgoing dispatch traffic, the Muncie Police Department, incoming, outgoing dispatch traffic, the Delaware County Sheriff's Department, incoming and outgoing, and the Indiana State Police. We listen to all of those basically all together in a way. I had them mixed up, and we pulled them all together and listened to them. We went through it, and listen. When I listened to the dispatch traffic, it was clear cut to me. It was a clear cut case that the sheriff's deputy that was the lead car on the pursuit. Matter of fact, it was the only car, in my opinion, and I'm going to have to reach out to people in law enforcement and the prosecutor's office. I think it was the actual only car, at least from Henry County, that was actually ever behind the fleeing suspect. There were cars from the Muncie Police Department in the area. There may have been some cars from the Delaware County Sheriff's Department in the area. And then there were obviously cars from ISP that were en route. And there were cars from Henry County that were driving around Muncie trying to get to a location. But I believe that the initial officer was the only one that was actually ever behind them. Now, that officer, his name, it's named, everyone knows who it is. The prosecutor's office in their statement today did not name the deputy. They identified the deputy as driver 1, but the name is out and known. It's Tanner Strelecky. At the time of the pursuit in April, on April 18th, he had only been on for a handful of months. He'd only been on the department for a handful of months. He was a rookie. He had not been through the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. He had taken the 40-hour pre-basic, which gave him his law enforcement powers and his authority. He had went through a field training program with the Henry County Sheriff's Department. I don't know what that entails down there. I know what field training program is supposed to entail, but Henry County Sheriff's Department does things that's way outside of the norms, so I can't speak to what that involves. He had just been working a 12-hour shift where he had been on the road working his regular shift. He's a patrolman in a fully marked police car and fully marked uniform. He had called off of duty, 10:42. He had called off at about 6 a.m. and he was headed home. He was headed north on State Road 3. And while he was off duty heading home, he witnessed this silver Dodge Dart that was driving it was driving erratically. I don't know what that entails. It may have been speeding or slowing up, may have been touching left of center, but something caused Deputy Strelecky to believe that the car may have been intoxicated or may have been a distracted driver. Maybe it wasn't intoxication. It could have been someone putting on their makeup or texting or falling asleep. It could have been any number of things. And so he tried to pull the car over. A lot of people say, well, why was he doing that? He was off duty. That's a common thing that happens. Hey, and listen, 99 out of 100 times, it's going to be a nothing stop to pull over, and it's a girl putting on makeup. It's somebody falling asleep. Hell, it's a drunk driver. FTO with Henry County entails beanbagging every suspect on every traffic stop. Yeah, well, and normally pulling cars over, not in plain clothes and unmarked cars. Specifically, if you're the sheriff, it's listen. There's no love loss here for John Sproles. I do want to, I guess, be open and honest and let you know, for those that don't know, I am currently in a federal lawsuit with John Sproles over because as sheriff, he is a political figure. He is an elected constitutional office holder, and he has violated my First Amendment rights through some just really crazy and obscene actions. And so I am currently in a federal lawsuit with him, and we are kind of at the hurry up and wait period. We should have more information on that in March, and we're coming to a close on that. But I just want to be real upfront and honest with that. We are not big fans of Sheriff Sproles here. Matter of fact, I call him the forever FNG. He's the, never taking on any experience or understanding. He's been sheriff for 2 years, and he still has under 5 years of law enforcement experience. So, yeah, what an amazing, what an amazing world we live in. Hey, let me tell you, Indiana State Legislature, instead of trying to completely screw up law enforcement in Indiana, why don't you dive in and maybe take a look and start a dialogue on whether or not we need to shore up who can be sheriff, when, and how? I guess I don't really have a problem with him being sheriff. And I understand sheriff is a constitutional office, but very much like prosecutor, everyone just can't be prosecutor. You have to be an attorney to be prosecutor, and I think gone are the days of the time where, just Joe Bob could run and become sheriff, and there'd be 3 guys, and he'd have to make a posse to go after the McCoy gang. You know what I mean? Seems like those days are gone, and maybe it would be beneficial for someone to have law enforcement training and ability and understanding, So that's that. But yeah, I want to say this before we get started. I'm glad Kate threw that up. Just as a quick reminder, there will be a committee meeting tomorrow. Can you throw that back up, Kate? Kate's put this up here. HB 1186 will be heard in committee tomorrow morning at 8:30. To testify, you need to sign up. We're hearing that they are not taking any more testimony, that they are not going to take testimony tomorrow, that they have wrapped up with everything they need. Tomorrow is simply to go over the amendment and vote on it. So I'm telling you all, we'll talk about this a little bit at the end of the episode, but we all need to be contacting our representatives, our senators, and don't just stop with your representative and say, well, I'm just going to call my representative. It's in the House. Call your representative, call your senator, and call 10 more. Matter of fact, why don't you call all 150 of them? Call all 100 representatives and all 50 state senators, because this bill is passing through committee tomorrow. I'm just letting you know it is going to pass through committee tomorrow. and it's going forward. So we need to start doing some major calling, emailing, texting, and pushing it out, because this is going to be a problem. So I'm glad Kate threw that up. But we will be live streaming that meeting tomorrow. You can find it right here on this very channel. We will be live streaming it. The thumbnail looks like this. Matter of fact, it's already up. At the end of this program, you can go into that episode and you can hit notify me, and it will send you a notification when we go live. But that's what the thumbnail looks up: Indiana General Assembly, State House Committee, Veterans Affairs and Public Safety, HB 1186 discussion. So that meeting will be tomorrow. I think it'll be pretty short because they're not going to take testimony from what I'm hearing. If what I'm hearing is true, that's what that is. Okay. Back to the deal with this John Sproles and Tanner Strelecky situation. So this was breaking news. I want to say I'm the first person that broke this news today, received the statement from the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office just a little bit before noon. And read through the statement, and I'll say this: I had a couple sources reach out to me and tipped me off that the prosecutor's office was probably going to go with no formal charges. So I kind of thought that this was the way it was going to go ahead of time, but I wanted to wait and see. We got the paperwork, and of course, it is. I am just going to say one last time, if you have not listened to 182, go back and listen to it, because we go through it all in detail. I'm going to go through this statement as it is and give you my thoughts on this statement and all of that. So here we go. The statement from Eric Hoffman. Eric Hoffman is the duly elected prosecutor from Delaware County. He's been prosecutor for a number of years, at least 2 terms. He's been a deputy prosecutor for his entire legal career, and I want to say that I'm personally friends with Eric. Eric is I believe Eric is a good guy, and I think that, well, let's just go through this and I'll tell you where I'm sure we're going to disagree on parts of here. So and understand this: I truly believe that Tanner Strelecky acted recklessly. Now, I also understand that he was new. I do believe that he should have had something inside him, even though he was new. He'd been on long enough. He should have had something say, "Hey, I should probably pull off of this." But blinders are real, and tunnel vision is real, adrenaline is real, and that's why it is important that we have good supervisors around us when things like that happen, because sometimes even the most senior officers can sometimes get that, man, I got to get him. I'm going to get him. And they don't know. And you need that person to say, hey, you need to cut this down. You need to back this off. So I hated this for Tanner. I did not want, I from everything I've heard, Tanner Strelecky is a good guy. He is a good deputy. He's a good police officer, sheriff's deputy. He is good at his job, and he's not one of these hard-headed, guys that's out here trying to make a name for himself. He's really doing everything I've heard. He's a good guy. But sometimes bad things happen to good people, and so it's just a fact of life, and it is what it is, So, all right, let's go through this, and we'll set it all aside. Muncie, Indiana Prosecuting Attorney Eric Hoffman formally announces that investigation into the April 18th, 2024 Henry County Sheriff's Department vehicle pursuit in Delaware County is now closed, and no further criminal charges will be filed. That's that. I want to make sure you guys can see this here. Okay, yeah, you guys can see that. Let's get this, pull this up here. No further criminal charges will be filed. ABA Criminal Justice Standard 3-1.10c provides, in part, the prosecutor may make a public statement explaining why criminal charges have been declined or dismissed. Thus, the prosecuting attorney of Delaware County may issue a public statement describing the reasons for closing a criminal investigation and declining of the prosecution. In determining whether to make such a public statement, the prosecuting attorney will consider whether the investigation has previously been publicly confirmed by the prosecutor's office, whether the matter has received substantial publicity, and any potential value to the public in receiving information regarding the reason for non-prosecution. When criminal charges are not filed following a criminal investigation into official action by law enforcement that results in death or serious bodily injury, it is in the public interest to make a public statement describing the reasons why criminal charges have been declined. Such decisions are made on a case-by-case basis, and the analysis and conclusions discussed in the statement are not binding on the prosecuting attorney in future matters. Facts of the case. On April 17th through April 18th, 2024, Henry County Sheriff's Deputy 1, that's how Strelecky is identified, and we'll get to that reason here in a minute. I'll tell you right now. The state is well aware that there is one pending criminal case arising from this set of facts, as well as contemplated civil litigation. Therefore, only minimal facts that the state believes are already in the public domain will be given so as not to prejudice or have any effect on other litigation. When criminal charges are not filed, it is the general policy of the prosecuting attorney to not publicly name the targets of the investigation. And I will tell you, to that end, they have always done a good job with this. Sheriff's Deputy 1, Strelecky, worked a 12-hour shift. Strelecky had worked from 5 p.m. on April 17th to 5 a.m. on April 18th. After Strelecky concluded his shift at approximately 6 a.m., he observed a vehicle later identified as a Dodge Dart make several traffic infractions. Additionally, based on Strelecky's observations, observations of the Dodge, Deputy Strelecky had a concern that the driver of the Dodge may be intoxicated. While traveling north on State Road 3, Deputy Strelecky attempted to initiate a traffic stop. Strelecky was wearing full sheriff's uniform and driving a fully marked patrol vehicle. The Dodge Dart refused to stop despite the use of red and blue lights and air horn and sirens. Deputy Strelecky informed dispatch over the radio that he was going to initiate a pursuit. This pursuit entered Delaware County and spanned approximately 15 miles. During the pursuit, the Dodge and Deputy Strelecky passed multiple schools and through densely populated residential areas. At various times, the speeds of the Dodge and Strelecky were in excess of 70 miles per hour. The pursuit was never terminated by Strelecky or any of his Henry County Sheriff's Department superiors or assisting Henry County deputies. The pursuit ended when the Dodge Dart struck a Jeep at the intersection of McGalliard and Tillotson, which is one of Muncie's busiest intersections at the early stages of rush hour on a Thursday morning in spring. I just want you guys to be aware of all of this because it's not like this was in the middle of nowhere. The crash resulted in one person sustaining serious bodily injury and one person dying. Now, I do want to take a moment and just say, I'm going to read through this statement, And at times I'm going to stop to interject my commentary and tell you what I'm thinking, or other facts that maybe are not known here at this time, but are known because I've listened to the dispatch, and you can go back and listen to that in episode 182. So what's interesting to me is when it's talking about trying to make the vehicle stop. So Strelecky was northbound on 3, and Strelecky was actually heading to Delaware County. Strelecky works for the Henry County Sheriff's Department. He has a take-home car, as most sheriff's departments do. All of them that I know of pretty much do in the state of Indiana. And he was driving his take-home car home. He lives, I'm not going to say where specifically, but Strelecky lives in Delaware County. So Strelecky was northbound on 3, and the vehicle also happened to be northbound on 3, and that's how he was observing this vehicle do this. At the time that he started to perform the traffic stop, go signal 27 on the vehicle, he was really far north of Newcastle, and he was to the northern edge of Henry County already. By the time he turned his lights and sirens on, and by the time he had radioed in and said, hey, this car's not stopping, there were only probably a handful of minutes, 4 or 5 minutes at the most, before he was actually out of Delaware County. Now, that is not something that is a problem. It's not a problem. That happens frequently. Delaware County gets in pursuits that often will go into other counties. That happens frequently. That's not an issue in and of itself. And if the car had turned off on some county road and proceeded to continue driving at 90 miles an hour for hours until the wheels fell off, there wouldn't have necessarily been any problem with this. The issue that I take is almost as soon as the car and Strelecky change from Henry County into Delaware County, there are probably, from the time they crossed the line, there's probably, because they're going 70, 80, 90 miles an hour, only about another 5 to 10 minutes, less than that, 5 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe 3 to 5 minutes before they are no longer out in the open on a highway. The State Road 3 quickly turns into the Muncie city limits, and it quickly becomes a very congested area in busy south side of Muncie. They quickly come up to a traffic signal, and that very first traffic signal that Strelecky came to in Muncie was a red light that the fleeing vehicle ran. And Strelecky gets on and says, we're traveling at speeds of 70 miles an hour. And he almost 1050'd. 1050 means a traffic accident. So at the very first traffic light in Muncie, Strelecky's like, this guy's going 70 miles an hour. He ran a stop sign and he almost wrecked. It's my belief that at that very moment, Strelecky should have said, I'm too far north. This is crazy what's happening. This guy's being dangerous. I'm going to disregard and I'm going to terminate the pursuit. We've got his plate, and we'll everybody lives to fight another day. He didn't. He continued on. And what's amazing about that is just a block after that intersection, he comes up to another intersection there with a light, which is right by a school. Now, I don't know. I know Strelecky lives in Delaware County, but I don't know how familiar he is with the south side of Muncie. So I don't know what his knowledge of everything was. But then just a couple blocks past that, there's another school that is an elementary, and he is in a very densely populated area of Muncie, driving now down a 2-lane, one northbound, one southbound city street in Muncie, where the speed limit during school hours would be 20 miles an hour, and Strelecky and the fleeing vehicle are both going in excess of 70 miles an hour. So by the time he gets up and runs the second, third, fourth, fifth traffic stop there at Macedonia and 18th, Macedonia and 12th Street, Strelecky had passed 2 schools. He had seen this guy already almost wreck. Strelecky should have terminated the pursuit. But what's totally abhorrent is the fact that there were also several Henry County Sheriff's deputies that were on duty at the moment. I don't know if they were listening to the pursuit or not, but they were on, and they were on duty. We have record of them being on duty. Several of them that had, were sergeants or higher. And no one is listening to this and saying, hey, you need to disregard. You need to terminate the pursuit. I found that to be absolutely preposterous, nuts to me. And that's just right here within the first 5 to 8 minutes of the pursuit starting. And I think that's a major issue on everybody's involved in everybody's actions, including the bad guy. All right. The pursuit was completely unsupervised. This is very important. That's what I'm just saying, by supervisor officers from the Henry County Sheriff's Department. However, the evidence indicates that other Henry County deputies, here after referred to as assisting deputies, were monitoring the traffic. At no time did a supervisor officer radio Deputy Strelecky and order him to terminate the pursuit, nor did any of the other assisting county deputies radio Deputy Strelecky and suggest that he terminate the pursuit. What's interesting to me is, as we've talked before, at least one or maybe 2 other deputies at that point, while they're somewhere in Henry County, they start working that way. They turn on their emergency lights and sirens. They start now driving fast, and they're driving into Delaware County. At one point before this crash occurred, we've got a pursuit going on with a deputy that's going in excess of 80, 90 miles an hour. And we've got at least 2 other deputies driving at high rates of speed at just various other places in Muncie. It was like the Keystone Cops, they were putting people in danger all over the city, and nobody said, wait a minute, guys, you're not catching up to him. You're not going to get it in time. Let's terminate this. It was just nuts that this was allowed to continue. Strelecky fully cooperated with the investigation conducted by the Indiana State Police. And I knew that he would. I also want to say this. There were 2 separate investigations that occurred as a result of this fatality. The Muncie City Police Department ran an investigation, and the Indiana State Police ran an investigation. And I have heard from sources that have said the reason that occurred was the accident occurred in Muncie, and Muncie has a crash team. But when Sproles got there, Sproles demanded that Muncie not do the investigation. He demanded that the state police do it. So the state police came in and did it, but Muncie went ahead and did this investigation anyways. So there were 2 separate parallel investigations going on. And it's my belief, after reading everything in here, that the investigations all concluded the same thing. But it's just interesting that Sproles demands ISP to do the investigation because he has friends that are troopers. He tends to be friends with a lot of troopers, and I think that he thought that he could maybe sway the investigation. Listen, I will never put anything past John Sproles. In my opinion, he always has an ulterior motive. So that's where I am with that. The remainder of the pertinent facts are contained within the affidavits of probable cause for arrest without warrant that was filed in the state of Indiana versus Zachary Anthem, cause number 18C01 2404 F319, which those probable cause sheets are included in this statement. A copy of said affidavit is attached, and that's what I just said. In that cause of action, Antrim is charged with the following. I've already read you his charges. It is important to remember that any accusations that someone has committed a crime, an arrest, and or filing of charges is simply an allegation and is not evidence of guilt. All suspects and persons charged with criminal offenses are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt at trial or if they plea. All right. The Indiana State Police and the Muncie Police Department conducted the investigation into the facts and the circumstances surrounding the April 18th police pursuit that ended in serious bodily injury and death. That investigation has been submitted to the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office for review and a legal determination of whether Henry County Sheriff's Deputy Strelecky and or his superior officers committed a crime in Delaware County on April 18th, 2024. And here's where Eric provides the legal analysis. Police officers have a duty to stop and investigate when they perceive a situation which poses a hazard to motor vehicle traffic. When a police officer observes a traffic offense or ordinance violation, however minor, he has probable cause to stop the driver of the vehicle. It is unquestionable that Strelecky had the requisite reasonable suspicion to initiate a traffic stop on the Dodge Dart for a slew of traffic violations. Indiana Code 342853 provides whenever a law enforcement officer believes in good faith that a person has committed an infraction or ordinance violation, the law enforcement officer may detain that person for a time sufficient to inform the person of the allegation, obtain the person's name, address, date of birth, or driver's license if the person is in possession, and allow the person to execute a notice to appear. Means get the ticket and sign if that's what's going to happen. When the pursuit of an actual or suspected violator of the law, when in pursuit of an actual or suspected violator of the law, a law enforcement officer may exceed the maximum speed limit so long as the officer does not endanger life or property. See Indiana Code 92118. The legislative purpose in enacting this provision was to prohibit endangering life and property by the very privileges being granted for their protection. In fact, the law does not relieve the officer from the duty to drive with due regard for the safety of all persons, nor does it protect the officer from the consequences of the officer's reckless disregard for the safety of others. See Indiana Code 92118D. In order to initiate a traffic stop, to issue a traffic information or summons to a person for a violation of an Indiana law regulating the use and operation of a motor vehicle, and the officer must wear a distinctive uniform and badge or be driving a clearly marked police car. Are you listening, John Sproles? At all times in question, Strelecky was wearing a uniform and a badge and was driving a clearly marked police vehicle. Indiana Criminal Code provides as follows: a person who recklessly, knowingly, or intentionally performs an act that creates a substantial risk of bodily injury to another person commits criminal recklessness, a Class B misdemeanor. Indiana Code 354222A. A person engages in conduct recklessly if he engages in a conduct in plain, conscious, and unjustifiable disregard of the harm that might result, and the disregard involves a substantial deviation from acceptable standards of conduct. In order to file a criminal charge in Indiana, the prosecuting attorney must know that the charge is supported by probable cause. See Rule 3.8, Indiana Rules of Professional Conduct. Probable cause exists when the facts and circumstances with an officer's knowledge, which are based upon reasonably trustworthy information, are sufficient to warrant a reasonable man's belief that a crime has been committed. Once filed, the prosecution is required to prove all material elements of the criminal charge beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. A reasonable doubt is a fair, actual, and logical doubt based upon reason and common sense. A reasonable doubt may arise either from the evidence or from lack of evidence. Reasonable doubt exists when you are not firmly convinced of the defendant's guilt after you have weighed and considered all of the evidence. Indiana Pattern Criminal Instruction. The initial basis for the traffic stop was to cite the driver for traffic infractions and investigate a possible intoxicated driver. The pursuit took place between 6:01 a.m. and 6:15 a.m. on a Thursday morning in April and spanned approximately 15 miles. The pursuit passed through many residential areas of Muncie that are densely populated. Moreover, the pursuit went directly past 3 separate elementary schools, a middle school, and Ball State University. The Dodge Dart disregarded multiple stop signs and red lights. The Dodge, as well as the police officer, were traveling anywhere between 80 and 100 miles an hour in residential, densely populated areas. A thorough review of the facts indicates no fewer than 10 instances where the pursuit should have been terminated so as to not endanger innocent life. Listen, no fewer than 10 instances. Could have been 12, could have been 15. But there were at least 10 instances where the pursuit should have been terminated as to not endanger innocent human life. However, at no time did the pursuing officer terminate the pursuit. Perhaps what is more troubling is the fact that at no time did any superior officer from the Henry County Sheriff's Department order the pursuing officer to terminate the pursuit, nor did assisting Henry County deputy nor did any assisting Henry County deputies suggest that the pursuit should be terminated. And I want to say this for the record. At the time that Strelecky was doing this and involved with this, literally everybody else on the radio had more seniority than him. Even the other fellow deputies, while they were not technically his supervisors or superiors, they certainly had more time on than he did. And even they should have been like, hey, we think that you should back this down. Nobody ever did that. Nobody ever said anything other than we're coming, we're on our way. In my mind, that emboldens Strelecky. Well, my fellow deputies are on their way here. I better keep going. It's nuts that could happen. Okay. Henry County Sheriff John Sproles confirmed in an email to Fox 59 that day shift Sergeant Blake Thrasher was on duty. Now we've got a sergeant, but not actively involved in the pursuit. Therefore, there was no reason for him to intervene on the radio. When that email went out to Fox 59, and when Fox 59 reported on that, I literally came unglued. Why in the hell would a sergeant on day shift, who's fresh, he just started his shift, why would he not be paying attention to a pursuit that is ongoing in a county that is not Henry County with one of his deputies? It's not like they were covered in calls. What else would he have been doing? Like just out of sheer boredom, he could have been listening. But this really makes me question if Thrasher should be a sergeant or not. If he doesn't have, I understand. I can get to a point in my mind where Strelecky had tunnel vision and he was just going to get this guy at all costs. Okay. It happens a lot. But I feel like he should have had common sense telling him to stop. But even if he didn't, the fact that Thrasher didn't have any more common sense is nuts. And you can see all of that by going to Fox 59, looking for deadly police chafe involving rookie Henry County Sheriff's deputy was unsupervised. That's from May 15th, 2024. We also talk about that in episode 182. The decision not to terminate the pursuit under these conditions was reckless. All right. The prosecutor's office is admitting that it was reckless. However, the question is whether the decision to continue the pursuit amounts to a plain, conscious, and unjustifiable disregard of harm that might result, and the disregard involves a substantial deviation from acceptable standards of conduct as required by Indiana Code 354122C. In making this determination, it is reasonable to look to the totality of the circumstances, the Henry County Sheriff's Department policy on the vehicle pursuits and the law. As discussed above, the pursuit unquestionably risked innocent human life in the early morning hours of a Thursday in April. The Henry County Sheriff's Department policy states consideration for the risk to public safety is the primary concern when personnel initiate or assist in any vehicle pursuit. Okay? See the policy section 4A2. In evaluating the reasonableness of the actions of a police officer, the United States Supreme Court has held that the calculus of reasonableness must embody allowance for the fact that police officers are often forced to make split-second judgments in circumstances that are tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving. For this very reason, law enforcement officers have superior officers with experience in the field who are to monitor, supervise, and intervene when necessary. For example, the Henry County Sheriff's Department policy also provides that involved officers and commanders shall continually evaluate the situation and should terminate the pursuit when the totality of the risk to the public safety clearly outweighs the need for immediate apprehension. Let's face it, folks, we were not chasing down a Ted Bundy. We were not chasing down a murderer. This man had not just robbed the bank. This was not, at the time, a known fleeing felon. This was a person who, for all Strelecky knew, could have been putting on makeup, maybe had got drunk and left the party. I know even an OWI, while very serious, is still, in the first instance, just a misdemeanor. So for him to believe, I've got to stop this person at all costs, I question that. And again, where were the supervising deputies? Perhaps what is most troubling is the fact that not a single supervisorial officer of the Henry County Sheriff's Department was monitoring the pursuit as required by policy, and no Henry County Sheriff's Department superior officer ordered the pursuit to be terminated. Additionally, not a single assisting Henry County deputy who heard the pursuit on the radio suggested to Strelecky that the pursuit should be terminated. Again, quite wild that none of this happened. Just in listening to it, because during this day shift, there were a good number of Henry County deputies on the radio at this time. It is crucial that when deciding to begin or terminate a pursuit, an officer and his or her supervisors must evaluate the risks to the public safety and ensure those risks do not outweigh the need for immediate apprehension. How can such an evaluation take place when superior officers in the Henry County Sheriff's Department were not monitoring the situation? In fact, Henry County Sheriff Sproles conceded that the pursuit was unsupervised. I mean, there it is. It was unsupervised. Again, that's from deadly a police chief involving rookie Henry County Sheriff's deputy was unsupervised from May 15th, 2024. That's a typo there. See Fox 59. Okay. Sheriff Sproles has made a statement to Fox 59 after the fact that he has been fully supportive of Strelecky's decision-making during the pursuit. A review of the chase has found no violations of department policy. See Fox 59, prosecutor expected to make charging decision in Delaware County fatal crash case soon. That was from December 28th, 2024 as well. Another typo. How can such a public statement be made prior to the conclusion of the official investigation? He was saying this all the way back in May. He was saying it in July. He was saying it in November. He said it to the news on December 28th. How can Sproles say that when he had not even been made aware of the full investigation yet? That's what's dangerous about John. He just will pop off at the mouth, doing and saying whatever he wants, whenever he wants, doing whatever he wants, and, you know, the consequences be damned. I've never seen anything like it. He is like a permanent 4-year-old kid. Okay. How can such public statements be made prior to the conclusion of the official investigation conducted by the state police, Delaware County Prosecutor's Office? Given the facts and circumstances of the case, one has to seriously question the credibility and legitimacy of such statements made by Sheriff Sproles. Man, that's got to burn. That's really got to smarts. That really hurts him big time because he does not like being questioned. I'm going to tell you, the fact that he's being questioned by Eric Hoffman should let Sproles know that he is the bottom of the bottom. The Henry County Sheriff's Office own policy clearly states the pursuit shall be terminated when the totality of the risk to the public safety clearly outweighs the need for immediate apprehension. See policy selection. Here's the thing, and that's one thing I've not been able to get. I have asked for their standard operating procedure, their policies, and most departments will provide that. I have not received that from a request. Yeah, I will try to get my hands on a copy of their policy book. Given all the facts and circumstances of the case, the risk to the public safety was clearly outweighed by the need. Given all the facts and circumstances of this case, the risk to the public safety clearly outweighed by the need for immediate apprehension by any assertion by Sheriff Sproles that the pursuit complied with the department's policy on vehicle pursuits is simply not supported by the evidence. Man, This is just one kick in the teeth to Sheriff Sproles after another. It is painfully obvious that the Henry County Sheriff's Deputy Strelecky, supervisor officers, and Deputy Strelecky's fellow deputies failed Strelecky. And I'm going to tell you, this right here is why Strelecky is not charged. This right here is why Strelecky is not charged. The actions that day by all of the various moving parts, in my opinion, were criminal. But we're going to find out why it didn't lead to a charge here in just a moment. The safety net that is supposed to be there to assist officers who have to make split-second decisions was not in place. No superior officers were supervising the pursuit, and no one ordered Strelecky to terminate the pursuit. Moreover, assisting deputies who were actually listening to the pursuit and who were apparently en route to try to meet up with them, also driving high speeds through Muncie, red lights and sirens. Those deputies never suggested to Deputy Strelecky that the pursuit should be terminated. This is quite troubling. There is a fine line between recklessness and negligent conduct. Case law is replete with examples of reckless homicide convictions based on traffic accidents being reversed because the evidence only supported a finding of negligence and not recklessness. Understanding the difference between reckless and negligent conduct is not an easy task, and even those trained in the legal profession have grappled with the abstract notions regarding degrees of culpability. In order to prove criminal recklessness, the state must prove the person engaged in the conduct in plain, conscious, unjustifiable disregard of harm that might result, and the disregard involves a substantial deviation from the acceptable standards of conduct. Indiana Code 354122C conversely cites, civil negligence is defined as a failure to exercise that degree of care that a person of ordinary prudence would exercise under like circumstances, or as a conduct that creates a unique risk of harm to others. The question of whether the Henry County Sheriff's Department acted in a civilly negligent fashion will no doubt be decided by a jury and or a court in the future. This is a pretty bold step for Prosecutor Eric Hoffman. He's literally outlining that it's his belief that the Henry County Sheriff's Department, Strelecky himself, the sheriff, definitely, probably Thrasher, the entire department, the entire county, will be sued by the family and families of those injured in this situation, this incident. And I hope they are, and I hope they come for them bigly, because it's would be well deserved. In order to prove recklessness, the state must prove. The question at hand is whether the actions were criminally reckless. Civilly, it will be determined, and I think it's there 1,000 times over. But the question at hand is whether the actions were criminally reckless. In order to prove recklessness, the state must prove that the defendant acted recklessly and not merely negligently. Conclusion. Criminals have been running from law enforcement officers since the formation of the first organized police forces. Police pursuits can and do cause catastrophic injuries and the death of innocent drivers, passengers, and pedestrians. There is a legitimate interest of the government and the public to apprehend criminal offenders, which include those who flee from law enforcement officers. The crux of the issue in police vehicular pursuits is determining which criminals should be pursued and which criminals should not be pursued by police vehicles. There has to be a balance struck between the need for public safety and the need to apprehend criminals who flee. The decision to file criminal charges against a police officer for continuing a police pursuit under these facts is a very close call. Given the totality of the circumstances, assuming there is probable cause to believe that Deputy Strelecky committed criminal recklessness on April 18th, 2024, Hoffman said he does not believe that such a charge would be able to be proven beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. Stated another way, Hoffman said he does not believe it can be proven beyond a reasonable doubt that Strelecky's decision to continue the pursuit amounts to a plain, conscious, and unjustifiable disregard of harm that might result in the disregard involves a substantial deviation from acceptable standards of conduct as required by Indiana law. Consequently, Strelecky will not face criminal charges. With regard, and this is the boom bang pow of it all right here. Sproles, are you listening? With regard to Deputy Strelecky's superior officers, the evidence indicates that at all relevant times, they were physically located in Henry County. Generally speaking, the Delaware County Prosecuting Attorney does not have the authority to consider criminal charges for criminal acts that take place or fail to take place in another county. Therefore, the Delaware County Prosecuting Attorney will not make any conclusions whatsoever regarding to any potential criminal liability of Deputy Strelecky's superior officers. That decision would rest solely with the Henry County Prosecuting Attorney. So what Hoffman is saying here, amazingly, is that the deputies, moreover, the supervisorial deputies that were on the radio and listening to this and sitting there with their thumbs up their asses, not doing anything, the question could be asked, are they criminally negligent? The problem is, since any of their actions or inactions occurred while they were in Henry County, it is not the prosecutor of Delaware County's place to decide if they are criminally negligent or not, and it's not their place to file the charges in Delaware County. Therefore, the Delaware County Prosecuting Attorney will not make any conclusion whatsoever. Oh, this entire document was one big conclusion. The entire conclusion is something bad happened. Strelecky should have known better. But even though he might not have, or when he didn't, or if he was lost, and if he got sucked into the adrenaline, and the fact that he's new, his supervisorial team, the administrative leadership of the department, should have had his ass, should have had his back. They should have helped him. They should have been there for him. They should have told him to stop. They should have told him to go home. They should have told him to come back. They should have got him to stop. Hoffman goes on to say the decision to find out if there's any potential criminal liability of the superior officers, that decision would rest solely with the Henry County Prosecuting Attorney. And I'm going to tell you, since the Henry County Prosecuting Attorney is a weak-minded do-nothing, nothing will come from this. I want to say that again in case he's not listening, or say, write this down and let him know if he's not listening. I had a lot of hope for Mahoney, but Mahoney ended up to be a complete turd. All right. He's a complete turd. And he is a pathetic excuse for a prosecutor. And because of that, nothing will come from this. Just the same as nothing came from Sproles shooting the inmate with the beanbag, even though another officer shot a defendant, a criminal, with the beanbag, and with a pepper ball gun, and Mahoney charged him straight away. So we see where Mahoney is at, and we see what makes him tick. And I'm just sad that do-nothing is still in office. I wish he would resign and let someone who can sack up take the seat there. Hoffman goes on to say that he wants to thank the Indiana State Police, the Muncie Police Department, crash reconstruction teams for their thorough investigation of the matter. Given the fact that there are related charges pending, as mentioned above, as well as potential civil litigation ahead, there will be no further comment on this matter. Okay, that then takes us to page 7. From there, we then go into the 2 probable cause sheets, and these are just the probable cause sheets for Zachary Antrim, the driver, and there's not really much more information in here. Trooper Ron Halbert, which is a long time, he's master trooper, he's a detective, just talks about how at approximately 600 hours, suspect was driving north in Henry County, and he basically just goes over the actual pursuit and details it out a little bit. And then comes down and says, the crash occurred. The crash caused the death of a passenger of the suspect's vehicle and serious bodily injury of the driver of a second vehicle. This pursuit traveled approximately 15 miles on state, Muncie City, and Delaware County roadways. The suspect sustained serious bodily injuries from his crash and was treated at the local hospital, while the victim, in the other hand, was also sustained serious bodily injuries and was transported to an out-of-county hospital for treatment. And then it comes down to Maverick, who is a Muncie City police officer, and he has a statement as well as part of the probable cause affidavit. And he just says that approximately 6:15 a.m., the driver of a silver Dodge Dart, Ohio plate, later identified as Zachary Antrim, was involved in a crash while being pursued by Deputy Strelecky of the Henry County Sheriff's Department. Evidence at the scene and initial statement from Deputy Strelecky indicated the crash was caused by Antrim. It was determined that Antrim was traveling eastbound on McGallard approaching Tilton. Antrim swerved into the left turn lane to go around vehicles stopped at the light. Antrim disregarded the automatic signal and crashed into a white Jeep Wrangler. The crash resulted in serious bodily injury to the driver of the Jeep and the death of the passenger in the vehicle being driven by Antrim. Probable cause exists that the offenses committed by Antrim were unsafe lane movement, 2 counts of disregarding a traffic control device for the death and serious bodily injury, criminal recklessness resulting in death, and reckless driving. This probable cause is in addition to the PC written by Indiana State Police that lists 2 counts of resisting law enforcement and 1 count of criminal recklessness. I affirm under the penalties of perjury that the foregoing is true and accurate to the best of my belief, badge number 1606. And so that takes us to the end of the statement. Okay. I'm now back on screen. I've been off screen. I'm going to come over here really quickly and look for if there's any statements from you guys. I want to see if there's anything here that I need. Well, let's talk about House Bill 1186 as it results with this. So number one, he's not a reserve. However, it may very well, because at the time of the accident, he had not been through the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy. He left for the Law Enforcement Academy like the week following the crash, so he had not graduated from the academy with a tier 1 certification. So I very much think that it could have changed. It could have changed this. That being said, even for reserves or tier 3 or tier 2, specifically tier 2, when they are performing their duty in their area and somebody flees, they are permitted to give chase. What 1186 is doing is stopping them from being in their area and hearing something or being dispatched out to something that they otherwise had nothing to do with until the call came in, or it would stop them from jumping a call just to try to get involved or to try to help out. So 1186, as it was written before the amendment, wouldn't have affected. It could have in certain ways because he hadn't been through the academy yet, but then it also, I think in the end, wouldn't have, because the crime actually happened in his area, which is the county. So very, very strange. I'm trying to see here. Oh yeah. When are we going to stop referring to police as law enforcement and start referring to them as peacekeepers? Well, when they get back to being peacekeepers. Right now, we've got a lot of tax collectors rather than peacekeepers going on. That tends to be a lot of the problem for people. Let's see here. All right, I think we've got through here. Sam is corrupt as Henry County Memorial Park. Yes. Okay. Prosecutor. Yes. Yes, it was in the Star Press. It's also now appeared in Channel 13. And in I wonder if Steve Brown has it yet. I know he has to have it because Eric sent it out to everybody. Let me see here if Steve Brown and I happen to be the Sproles aficionados. We both have a special place in our hearts for Sproles content. Let that load for a minute while I go back here and see. Let's see here. Okay, let me see. Sorry, I'm just going down through some. No, DC Swamp Drainer asks if the decision to not prosecute was grand jury. This did not go before the grand jury. That's one thing that I wish would happen. I wish that we would utilize the grand jury more than we do. We don't utilize we don't utilize the grand jury as much as we should. So what crimes did the driver face besides running from the police? Did he have lots of dope in his car? No, but he did have a gun that was for whatever reason unlawful, which I don't know why. I don't know if he's a felon. I don't know what the deal is there. Okay. Tweety reckless driving. Let's see there. That's not worth dying for. No, it's not. And that's the bad thing about this is, from what I've heard, the passenger of the vehicle wasn't like cheering the driver on. He was like, "Please stop, let me get out. I want to get out." And what makes it sad is he was like texting people like during the pursuit, saying like, "Hey, I'm in this pursuit, and like I want out of here. I don't want to be here." And so that's just heartbreaking. That's really, really heartbreaking. Doesn't matter where. Yeah, Kate says doesn't matter where you are. You have high speed chase. You monitor that absolutely. Let's see. Copy goes strong in Henry County. Yes, he's going to get in a civil suit. Oh yeah. They're going to sue. They're going to sue these people back into the Stone Age. They're going to sue these people into the Stone Age. Good comment there. I don't believe that he called the cops. No, I don't believe he was calling. I believe he was just texting. I think he was like trying to negotiate with the driver, and I think he was like texting friends and family from what I've heard. You can't hide from the drones. Cops have early morning. Cop was going home. Let's see here. Was he trying to Mary? Was he trying to be ugly? Sure he was. I always smash that button. Yeah, that's the way. Sproles should bear some punishment. Absolutely. It's Sproles. There is a culture of this behavior in Henry County, and Sproles has allowed that to grow and fester. Now, he won't allow you to say the F word, by God, but if you kill someone for speeding, have at it. You shoot somebody with a beanbag in the eyeball, or break the skin and have them have 27 stitches in the legs, have at it. Shoot a pepper ball at someone's back, and you should be charged in federal court.
Well, the big thing there was he as he was shooting him, he said the F word. That makes the pepper ball more deadly.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
So that's the problem. If you were doing the bean bags and you said the F-bomb, that makes them more dangerous too.
Yeah.
You're adding that bomb force to it, and
that is true. Also, don't forget the fact that Sproles shot a black dude. And
yeah.
Like, who likes black people? Ain't nobody like black people. He can shoot black people. The problem with that was a joke. Everybody, calm down. The other issue there was the guy that shot the pepper ball. The inmate that got shot was a white guy, and the correction officer that shot him was a black guy. So you see the difference?
He was black and said the F-bomb?
Yeah, right.
That guy's lucky the pepper ball didn't go straight through him.
I'm surprised Sproles didn't come on duty and shoot the CO, the black CO, with something.
Yeah.
I've heard while you're I heard if while shooting you say we can go all night, you get a promotion. Woo! Oh man, it's a good time to be Sproles. Hey, if any of you people are new and you have never went down the... Can
you drop me down, please?
Yeah, sorry. If any of you guys are new and and specifically, I mean you people, I don't know how many of you are black here. If any of you are new here, you people, and have not went down our Henry County, what's the thumbnail? Wait, what is it called? Let me find out what it's called. We have a playlist that is specifically Sproles related. And the playlist is, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. It is the Henry County, Indiana Sheriff John M. Sproles. It has 85 videos in it, and it deals with every bit of his stupidity, basically from the time he took over as sheriff forward. And there's a lot of good stuff in there. So if you have not checked that out, I would highly, highly recommend checking that out. Listen, before we end, I want to say a couple things. Number one, I want to say this. A lot of people give Hoffman a bad go because they say he's not tough on child molesters. He's not tough on pedophiles. And this is where we're going to have disagreement with people who normally agree with nearly everything I say. And remember, I say you never are going to agree with me 100%. This is one of them. To say that Eric Hoffman is not tough on child molesters, sexual predators, or pedophiles is a dumb statement, because he is absolutely extremely tough on them. He is a very tough prosecutor. Eric has never worked outside of the law enforcement aspect of the justice system. He has never worked in a defense firm. He's never worked in a civil firm. Eric Hoffman came from South Bend. He lived in South Bend. He has cousins and uncles that are police officers. He went to law school he went to Ball State University, took like pre-law. Well, I don't know, whatever you take pre-law at Ball State. He took it. He got in to law school for his internship. He did an internship in the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office. He was an intern in the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office. While he was in law school, when his internship ended, he then got hired full-time as a law clerk in the Delaware County Prosecutor's Office. And he was a law clerk working in the prosecutor's office while he was going to law school at IU McKinney. And then there's one point when you're going through law school where you can be called a certified law clerk. And what that does is if someone's in law school and they're in like their third year, fourth year, it allows them to actually try cases as long as there is a lawyer that's present with them. And so he did that. He was doing that before he was actually even an attorney. He was a certified law clerk or whatever. When he graduated, he continued working at the prosecutor's office. Then he passed the bar in his first go. And when he passed the bar and became a full-fledged attorney, they hired him in the prosecutor's office as a deputy prosecutor. Eric has worked the toughest murders, cold cases. He was involved with both cases of the Teresa French cold case homicide. Eric is a white hat. He's one of those people. A lot of people would not like Eric because Eric is very black and white. There's not very much gray in Eric's life. The issue with the sexual predators, and I feel the same way. I did an interview with those pop-up sex predator people. I have always been very vocal about not liking it because, number one, there are a lot of people out there that are doing God's work and really exposing some people and doing a good job. But there are also a lot of people that are just in it for the clicks and the views and just making a thing, and they're making a spectacle. And so they're doing things that is kind of weird. So take that half out immediately. I've always said that if I was going to do that, if I was going to stop doing this today and start pedo chasers tomorrow, the very first thing I would do is I would contact an attorney, and I would hire an attorney to help write up a policy for me and my team, what we would do, what we would not do. We would have a standard operating procedure. I would go out and get training for, being decoys and all of that stuff. I would reach out to all of the law enforcement agencies where I'm at and talk to them. I would reach out to the prosecutors in the areas I was going to work and, see about creating teamwork. Eric does not like the pedo chasers for one very reason. And this is something that a lot of people who get mad at him should respect, because he doesn't. It's the same reason why in Indiana we don't do reverse stings with dope. For all of you people out there who are, here's a little secret for everyone out there. If you go and you buy drugs, you don't ever have to be afraid that you're buying drugs from the police, because the police are never going to be selling you drugs. You see cops and they used to do those reverse stings. We don't do that in Indiana because it's entrapment. The police are the buyers, or the police are the undercovers that buy, or have the CIs that buy. They don't ever have the look-like drugs and selling look-like drugs and then turn around and bust the user. That's not happening. The same thing with these operations. What is needed to make a criminal prosecution is all very strict. And the fact that you've got people that are out there just running amok, doing this, having a camera up and doing all this stuff, the cases are a lot of times very weak. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. Eric has just been very vocal about saying, like, we've got people that's working this. I respect Eric's reason for not taking on cases of the pedo people. I get it. I understand people don't like it. Like watching the pedo people, if you want, watch them, support them. But I'm telling you, Eric's reasoning for not prosecuting those cases, most of them he probably couldn't prosecute them anyways. Something would lead up to the evidence not being admissible or whatever, and that stuff matters. It really matters. So that's what goes on there. I don't think Eric is soft with this situation. I don't think that he was being soft here. I think Eric reviewed the situation, and I think that he did what the law allowed him to do. I'm going to tell you, if your family, God forbid, is ever victimized, if you are ever the victim of a crime, Eric is who you want on your side. If you are a bad guy, you do not want Eric prosecuting you. And so, I understand there's people that's going to disagree with me out there, and that's fine. But that's just my 2 cents. So I wanted to say that, get that out there. I respect Eric heavily, and I just know that if I was the victim of a crime, if one of my family members was a victim of a crime, I would want Eric Hoffman to be the prosecutor. I would want his office to be prosecuting the case. And that's where I stand on that. Lastly, 1186. I'm going to be live streaming it tomorrow. It'll be here 8:30 in the morning. It'll be live streaming right here on our show, on our network. The feed is already up. It's just hanging out, chilling, waiting until 8:30 in the morning. So if you when we get ready to close up here and we end, if you go to the political spotlight on YouTube and you click, show you right here. If you click on this, it right here, the thing is, down here it says live in 9 hours, January 30th at 8:30 a.m. If you go there and you click the notify me button right here, click notify me. It says notification is on. It will then send you a notification when we go live. You can go over here and you can comment in the comment person. We've got Les Clouds already over here commenting. So you can do that. Hit that like button. I'm going to go ahead and hit that like button. While you're here, subscribe to the show. If you haven't subscribed, do so. But we'll be there and we'll have commentary and we'll be putting it together. And I cannot wait to do this. It's going to be great. We will break down the meeting. That will probably, so tomorrow we will do the Bill 1186 committee meeting, and then tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. we'll do the commentary on what occurred, and we're going to go through and look at the state representatives, and we're going to go through their email addresses and go through their phone numbers, and I'm going to put it in your hands how you can get in contact with them, what you got to do, because we have to get a hold of them. Tomorrow's a done deal. It's going to pass. It's going to pass. So just keep that in the back of your mind. It's going to pass committee. We've got to fight it at the State House. So that's that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate everything. Appreciate you tuning in, watching everything we had going on. Law enforcement officers need to be held accountable for their actions, and qualified immunity needs to be abolished immediately. I'm down with qualified immunity going away. I think that there needs to be things that you need to stand on your actions and do what you do. Has anybody seen? We'll play this. This just stands with it, and then we'll go. I watched this today, and this is wild. I had not heard anything about this. Let me find this here. Oh yeah, right here it is. Were you guys aware of this? Let me play this for you. Watch this little short here. How crazy this shit is. Watch this.
This officer got exposed for stealing money from the man he had just arrested.
I'm going to count your money in front of you.
All right, so they pulled over this black guy, and he's got stacks of money. I think they said he had around $8,000 on him, which is good chunk of money, but it's not like it's not like money. It's like money. It's not money. It's just money. So they're counting in front of him, and he's like, "Wait a minute! I heard a band. I don't know why I heard a band in there. He stole my money." Listen.
He's moving and everything. Look, I heard rubber band.
Can you just check in between his legs? I heard a rubber band snap. I heard it pop. Just checking his legs. He's moving and everything. Watch this.
And he's moving in between his legs. Someone takes your money, it will be a big problem. I seen him put it in between.
Someone said if someone takes your money, it'll be a big problem.
His legs. Okay, what? I'm saying, but he already moved and did a lot of different stuff. I already let him move. Like, I just don't understand why I heard my rubber band being popped. I just grabbed it from the seat to give to her. I'm not trying to.
And listen to this guy. I just grabbed it from the thing and gave it to her. Now listen to this.
I just know what I know. Come here. Do you see anything? No, yeah. No cap. I'm not even gonna touch it. It's blue hundreds right here. It's all the blue hundreds are right there behind that receipt. Thank you. All that's my money. You didn't have that. This is your money? Yes, I heard him crumble it up. Thank you. That's my money. Sir, you've been watching me.
He said, that ain't my money. And the guy's like, thank you. I know it's my money.
I seen you take it. I seen you crumble it. Sir, that is not me. If I'm right, it's gonna be around $1,000. If I'm right, I seen you steal. No, sir. I wasn't trying to expose. That is not me, bud.
This officer
That is not me, bud. Now, watch this. Those officers were from the Charlotte, Mecklenburg. This is from North Carolina. Look at this shit. I looked that up and I was like, man, surely if this is real, there would be something about this, because that's a pretty big deal, right? Look at this. Former CMPD officer accepts offered plea in suspect money stealing case. All right. Henry Chapman was placed on a 2-year probation period for allegedly taking $900 from a man he arrested. What'd that guy say? It's my money. I counted it'd be about $1,000, and he was $100 off. Listen to this. Don't send me down an ad.
Also new tonight, a former CMPD officer accused of stealing $900 from a man he was arresting, accepting an offered plea yesterday. That plea allows Henry Chapman to avoid a harsher sentence by acknowledging that there is enough evidence to convict him. Chapman was arrested back in March, just hours after he allegedly took that money. The 15-year police veteran resigned from the force the next day. Chapman is now on probation for 2 years.
Dude, former Charlotte Mecklenburg police officer accused of stealing $900 from a man he was arresting and hiding it in his patrol car accepted an offered plea, which basically an offered plea.
With training, my employees can improve their skills and build.
An offered plea is bullshit. It's basically a guilty plea in which the defendant maintains that they're innocent. The defendant admits that there is enough evidence to convict them, so they choose to plead guilty anyways. But they're like, I'm not guilty, but I'll plead guilty. It's like, what? Get the hell out of here. The incident started when Chapman pulled over a driver for speeding and learned that he was wanted on a federal arrest warrant. In an affidavit, says the man had nearly $8,000 in cash on him when he was arrested. Chapman accepted an offered plea in the case on Wednesday and was placed on probation for 2 years. He is also required to complete a cognitive behavioral interventions CBI course, and the offered plea allows Chapman to maintain his innocence while agreeing to the judge's punishment. CMPD released body camera footage of the incident in June. The suspect who was being arrested can be heard saying, Chapman put the money in the door of his squad car, and assisting officer claimed Chapman was shifting the money between his legs and into the door pocket. Chapman initially denied knowing the money was there, but an affidavit states he admitted to taking the cash. Chapman maintained that he wasn't stealing it. He was charged with 1 count of embezzlement. He resigned. I don't know why this is dancing all over the place. He resigned from the force on March 15th. Chapman joined CMPD in 2009. Chief Johnny Jennings issued a statement on Chapman's arrest saying his actions were a contradiction of what we stand for. This incident does not represent or define the men and women of CMPD who show up every day and night to serve our community, Jennings said in part. Dude, just that is wild to me. That is absolutely
at 4 o'clock.
crazy.
Video just released this afternoon shows the moment a CMPD officer was caught allegedly taking money from a suspect. Listen to this. This happened back in March after a driver was taken into custody on an outstanding warrant. Now, for the first time, we're seeing what unfolded when he was brought to the University Division Patrol Office.
I don't know if it's in your door. I don't know where it's at.
A suspect telling police he believes the officer who arrested him took his cash and stowed it away.
Do you see anything? No, yeah, look, no cap. I'm not even gonna touch it. It's blue hundreds right here. It's all the blue hundreds are right there behind that receipt. Thank you. All that's my money. He didn't have that.
This is your money?
Yes, I heard him crumble it up. Thank you. Thank you. All
that ain't my money.
Right? That's my money. That's my money right there.
The cash uncovered with a receipt inside the driver's side door of Officer Henry Chapman's patrol vehicle. We are not identifying the suspect because his charges are irrelevant to this situation.
I seen you steal. No, sir.
The suspect claiming the officer stole around $1,000 in cash and recounting what happened.
I heard him tampering with that rubber band. Okay. That rubber band was on that money because my girlfriend gave me the money this morning.
It was then police quickly escorted Officer Chapman into another room and immediately.
Oh, I killed it. I knew I did it. Sorry. Well, that was it. Crazy story, dude. That is insane. Nuts. Just totally crazy to me. Just absolutely nuts. He needs to lose his credentials. He should not be allowed to go down the road next police station and get a job. I would say he's done. I would say he's not there anymore. I would say he's probably done. Really, really crazy situation. So, all right. Well, that is going to do it for us tonight. Tune in tomorrow right here, to watch the, committee meeting. If you can't make it, you'll be at work. I understand. You can watch it upon replay any point after it starts. We will then be back tomorrow at 9 p.m. That's Thursday, and we normally would be done on Thursday. However, we missed Tuesday this week because of preparing for this show tonight and doing some other stuff. And I've talked to Catherine. Catherine Callahan from Madison County has done some pretty crazy shit today. And she has a couple stories that she needs to relate. So if it's okay with Kate or whatever we might see about doing Friday, she just gave me the thumb. So I think that's okay. So we'll look at having Catherine on Friday. So tomorrow, live stream in the morning, 9 o'clock, we'll have the breakdown of what happens at that committee meeting. And then on Friday, we'll have Catherine on. And just as a little teaser, she filed another complaint today against some corrupt people in Madison County, and they are losing their minds, and we've got them against the ropes. So tune in. We got some great shows still coming at you later on this week, so can't wait to see you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a great Thursday. And we'll look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. God bless each and every one of you. Take care. We will see you next time. Good.